Center here in Antigua, and we're with Patrick Atkinson and a couple of his little buddies, Melvin and Carlos. Melvin and Carlos. They are both children that have come here from human trafficking and such as that. They're getting their education, they're getting their some food, getting all that good stuff. I'm getting a crash report.
One's 10 and one's 11.
One is 10 and one, I just closed it. One's 10 and one's 11, and I would guess
They're a foot.
yeah, they're a foot apart. And oh, here they come. Here they come. Melvin, do you want to say hola?
Hola.
Hola. He's Melvin. He's 10.
Hola.
Hola. And this is Carlos. Carlos, say hello.
Say hola.
Carlos, how old are you?
¿Cuántos años? Yeah.
¿Cuántos años tienes? 11.
In English?
11.
All right. Well, we're here. Here's Patrick. And Patrick brought Carlos and Melvin in for us to meet. And we're having a blast. We're blowing bubbles. We got some stickers. We got some hugs. We got some high fives. We bumped it, right? Pound it. Yeah. High five. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she left you hanging, Carlos.
Sorry about that. Patrick, tell us a little bit about Melvin and Carlos and what they're doing here at the Dreamer Center.
Well, here in Guatemala, the God's Child Project has 4,000 orphaned, abandoned, and terribly, terribly poor children. Both Melvin and Carlos came in specifically through our human trafficking program. Different ages. Carlos is much bigger right now. He's 11 years old. Melvin has only been in the program for 2 months. He's 10 years old, and just like my son Ernesto when I adopted him, Melvin is 10 years old and weighs 30 pounds. Different stories, each of them through our human trafficking program. Melvin was sold by his mother up in one of the mountain villages up in the highlands. A man came through the village, was looking to buy children, and bought Melvin and then brought him down into Antigua and put him to work in the garbage dump, digging through the trash, looking for tin, cardboard, paper, anything at all that Melvin could go through. So he was eating the scraps that he found in the garbage dump, breathing all the toxic fumes, going through all the chemical waste and everything else that's in the garbage dump, which is why he's so small and so sickly. He's been with us now for about 2 months. If you look at him, very bright face, very, very smart boy. And for the first time in his life, he's feeling the love, the security, and the protection of a home.
It's amazing, to think that they're eating out of the garbage dump, because we're not even supposed to eat off the streets, and vendors off the street. And so, our host family and restaurants that you'll take us to and stuff, so to think that they're getting probably the worst of the worst on the things that they're eating.
Well, these kids they're not only just getting the worst of the worst, they're getting the worst of the worst that have been sitting in smoldering, rotting piles for days or weeks. It's been run over by the rats, it's been run over by the flies and the fleas and everything else that you'll find in the garbage dump. Because these are garbage trash dumps just like you'd have everywhere. Carlos, on the other hand, has been with us now for about 16 months. Carlos was brought in from Guatemala City, from a different part of the country, by a man who snowed him out of the village, brought him down. His mother came down to look for the child, and then the mother and the man made a deal where the mother received money, went home, and the man kept the child. Carlos eventually escaped from a very, very abusive situation. Again, we're talking a 10-year-old child at that time. Came to our homeless shelter, which is behind the market. He stayed in the homeless shelter for about 5 or 6 days while we were looking for his situation. We found out exactly the truth behind what was happening. We got court protection, legal protection, removed him from the house. He was still very diseased, very sick, and no one would take him. So I took him into my own home for about 10 days. He quickly regained some weight, cleaned up really well, scrubbed down, got rid of the lice and the fleas and the skin disease that he had, and put him in a foster home where he is to this day. Very happy kid, very smart kid. Mayan Quiche is his first language. He learned Spanish with us, and he's now learning English. So by the time he's 12 years old, Carlos will probably be completely trilingual.
That is amazing. I'm barely one lingual.
Una lingua.
Lingua. I'm really struggling. I know gracias, buenos dias, whatever, that kind of stuff. But everybody speaks the one language that I speak the most, and that's a smile and a hug. And so that seems to get you quite a long ways down here. Do you know, like, how much when you talk about getting sold? Do you know what kind of figure or anything?
Well, I mean, again, it's when somebody is selling a child, or somebody is buying a child, they're not looking at it as somebody's son or daughter. They're looking at it as a piece of merchandise. What can they get out of it? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? What's the age? Do they intend to purchase the child for sexual purposes, which is unfortunately very common, or for forced labor? Buy a kid, 10-year-old boy like little Melvin here, and put him to work, working 14 hours a day, sanding down car bodies. No face mask or anything like that, that type of modern-day slavery. A child can go for 30 quetzals, for 300 quetzals, for 3,000 quetzals, all depending on the supply, the market, boy or girl, the age, and the intended purpose.
And so when it's 8 to 1, right, to the dollar, so that's not a lot.
No, just kind of with my experience here, the last 27 years working in Central America, and the last 10 years working in human trafficking specifically. A boy like Melvin, 10 years old, very sickly, maybe weighing right now 30 pounds, last 2 months ago, he's been with us. So he's now putting on a little meat, still 10 years old, weighs 30 pounds. Probably would be purchased for forced labor, modern-day slavery. He would probably go for $5, maybe $7 tops. And we're not talking per day. That is the purchase price of that kid. Whoever bought him would make the agreement to feed him probably 1 or 2 meals a day and give him a place to sleep. The place to sleep might be underneath whatever car he's working on. If he's being purchased to stand on a car body. You might give him a piece of an old blanket or even a towel if he uses a blanket. That would be his home. Here's his breakfast. End of the day, here's a piece of bread and your cup of coffee. That would be it until he grew up and reached the age where he simply didn't tolerate it anymore and would run away. At which point he would become a street child, probably a gang member, possibly a prostitute, into crime. What would wait for him if he went down that road would be an early death or early entry into prison.
Patrick, we talked with Luis earlier, and he talked about the letters he wrote you when you left and before you came back to start the hash shop. Do you remember that?
Well, Luis and Antonio, who we interviewed earlier,